Hey everyone, Leo's here. Another Jumpstart Lightning episode, a special one here with Francisco, where we're introducing Jumpstart Drops. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Leo's here. Another Jumpstart Lightning episode, a very special Jumpstart Lightning episode. But first thing first, I have Francisco with me. Francisco, returning guest. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Always great to be here with you, Leo.
I think that introducing you as a guest is no longer valid, right? So, Francisco, for those of you who don't know who you are, what is it that you do?
Yeah, sure. My name is Francisco Cabrera. I'm a senior technical program manager here at the Jumpstart team, working right with the whole adaptive cloud team, and in particular, just doing a lot of Jumpstart related stuff.
Francisco, the last time that you were here on the show, you are part of the AKS Edge Essentials team. We did a great, I believe it was like 5-part series on AKS Edge Essentials, and a lot of water went through that stream. And today we're here to talk about our latest creation that we announced last week at Microsoft Build, Jumpstart Drops. So, Francisco, for those who don't know what Jumpstart Drops is, what is it?
Yeah, Jumpstart Drops actually is like this curated, right? A collection of, let's say, artifacts, could be scripts, could be dashboards, could be, let's say, guides, right? That we are kind of gathering together, right? And these kind of artifacts could be created by the community, could be created by Microsoft internal folks, and they actually meant for the community, right? We're trying to get all these artifacts together so that people can go ahead and quickly use the scripts, these artifacts, right, and get it, specific tasks, right? Like for example, let's say a day 2 operations, right, and actually run those really quickly and with a great documentation and an easy way to access those.
So before diving here into the demo, which is always the fun part for me, I did wanted to talk to you about some of the challenges that we saw when we were doing the research before deciding on developing Jumpstart Drop. So maybe share us with the audience here, like what were some of those challenges that led us here?
Yeah, and you were talking right. I was part of actually the AKSE team, and one of the actual issues that I had when I was part of that team is that when you were putting out content, right, is sometimes it's difficult to get a lot of the community aspect for that content. And like you don't get the telemetry, you don't get the insights, you don't get the visibility, right? You don't get all the benefits that you can get with the Jumpstart community. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we had internally at Microsoft with a lot of these just different product groups. The other challenge that we're seeing a lot, and maybe this is the biggest challenge, is that there are a lot of these kind of scripts, tools, dashboards that generally are created by internal teams, right, or even by external teams, where they're actually assisting other customers. And let's say you want to configure Azure Arc, right, in a, let's say, massive way. So you go ahead, you create a script, you use it for that specific customer, but then what do you do with that script? And generally what ends up happening is just it's inside, let's say, a private GitHub repository, it's in a SharePoint, it's even in your local folder. And that means that, of course, you don't get all the benefits from the community. And of course, the community is not getting the benefits from you, from your code. So we want to make sure, right, that, with Drops, we actually can upload that, right? And actually tackle, right, all this challenge of not being able to share the code, not being able to get the community benefits, not being able to get the visibility for your code, right? So definitely trying to get a lot about community here.
Right. So we're talking a lot about community, and the Jumpstart was always for the community, by the community. But I think the best way to actually show what we're talking about is the Jumpstart Drops demo. So let's switch to the demo and see what we got here.
Sure. So I'm going to just go right to the Jumpstart kind of website. And if you actually go and start exploring here, you're going to see the first thing is, wow, we have a new product. Because of course, Jumpstart Drops is a whole new product. So we still have, right, of course, Jumpstart Scenario, Agora, Arcbox, HCI Box. We're still, of course, providing updates. But now we have this great new icon here that is Jumpstart Drops. So if you actually go here, right, and you can see Drops, the first thing you're going to notice here is that, you get the new logo. You're going to have, right, of course, Jumpstart Drop right now, it's in a public preview state. We're starting as a public preview because we want to gather as much feedback as possible. As you actually see right here, you can go ahead and share with us feedback really easily, and we really appreciate all your feedback. And we're going to be implementing a lot of features, right? Every week, every month, we're going to be gathering that feedback and actually implementing it. But the first thing that you're going to see here as you log in is that, well, you have a searching, right, where you can go ahead and search all these artifacts that were created and uploaded as Jumpstart drops. You're going to be able to actually filter all these drops. So you're going to be able to filter by products, by different languages, right? It's a bash script, it's a partial script, it's a just, let's say, a Jupyter notebook. You're going to be able to, through difficulty, let's say this is more like a getting started script. Well, maybe that's a low difficulty, but it maybe you're doing like whole end-to-end sample with say Kubernetes, Stafford, a lot of different services. Then probably it's a high difficulty. When it was this updated, right? So we want to make sure all these drops get updated, get up to the latest with the different kind of product kind of releases. And then you can have, like, for example, different topics. These are just like like GitHub topics, so you can leverage also that visibility from the GitHub community. And then finally, it's the type, right? As I was saying, these drops can be from, let's say, from sample apps, libraries, scripts, template, guides, right? So different types of drops that we'll be using here for filtering all the content. So then we're gonna go into the drop card, and this is all where you're gonna see all this information of the drop. So we have this really cool drop card that you can see over here. And the first thing you're going to notice is the telemetry. And this is, I think, is a great feature, because right now, if you're actually sharing your code through GitHub, you don't get this telemetry of, hey, who's going to actually looking into my GitHub repository? Is there like how many clones or downloads I have, right? But when you're going through Jumpstart Drops, you actually get, okay, every time somebody actually downloads this, you're going to get a +1. Every time somebody clicks on this drop, you're going to get a +1 on the views. And of course, based on that telemetry, we're creating these great tags like popular, trending, new, right? I'm going to be able also to filter based on that, right? So if you go here, you can newest, oldest, trending, popular. The second thing you're going to see here is the title, and this is what is the actual drop doing, and this should be a descriptive title of what it's doing, who is targeted for. And then you're going to see, of course, who is the owner, who's the contributor, who's the author. And for us, this is a really important piece of here at Jumpstart Drops, because all this is going to be created by the community and for the community. And we want to make sure that the author, the contributor, has all the visibility. So, this, you're going to see, like, in this different drops, you're going to see all different contributors, even if you have more than one contributor. For example, this one, where you're going to have all the contributors out there. And then you're going to have the description. So this is a small description of what the actual drop is doing. So when you just like surfing right here, you'll be able to go ahead and check this small description to actually understand in a bit more in depth what the drop is doing. A bit more features here, right? You're going to have the different tags, right? So as you're filling the drop, as you're creating the drop, you're going to be using these tags so that you can filter, but also you can visualize them there here in the card. You get this great download feature. So I don't know, but probably you've been over these huge GitHub repositories and you just want one specific piece. That means
I know one or two. I know one or two. Yeah.
That means you need to clone the whole thing. But with Jumpstart Drops, you can actually just download that specific part, that specific folder that you're looking for. It's a really cool feature there. And then, of course, sharing. We want you to share the drops with the community. So you can always go ahead and just click share, and you get this link, and you can just go ahead and share directly, right, to the community, right? Could be LinkedIn, could be, right, Outlook, could be WhatsApp, whatever you want, right? You'll be able to do that directly from here.
Very cool.
And then let's go a bit more into the detail of a Jumpstart drop. Let's go ahead and let's choose. I'm going to choose mine. So I actually created this simulate an on-with camera with RTSP, right? So this is the idea. It's a Jumpstart drop that what we'll do is actually go ahead and simulate as if you had a real camera, and we just put the video that you want this camera to show. So if you go here, right, as soon as you click on it, you're going to see that, okay, you'll have the title, who was the owner. And you can always go to see the original GitHub repository, right? So we're grabbing all the content from that original GitHub repository, and we're rendering that content as part of Jumpstart Drops so that you can surf really easily, right? But of course, you can always go back and check the original repository. So I'll just go really quickly. And here, as you can see, this is my repository where I just like submitted the drop from and where you can get the information. So the same information you see here is actually what you see here. Important here, last updated, right? So we have like every time there's an update, we'll make sure, we keep that up to date. And then you have, this great feature where every different kind of, let's say, header, it gets rendered right as a tab. So you see, you'll have the overview, you have the prerequisites. So in this particular case, right, well, you need to run specific dependencies in order to be able to run this particular drop. You'll get, the getting started, and the idea is that here will, the user needs to go ahead and, set, okay, what do you need to do to run the Jumpstart drop? So you're gonna see that you can scroll. You have, all the markdown content and all the markdown styling that you get directly when you're using GitHub. You'll get that also here directly on this sidebar, right? You can use links, you can go code blocks, you can use whatever you want and Markdown, you'll get it here. And then, of course, finally, right, we also have like a resources, right? And in this one, for example, you're going to show extra stuff that you want to show in this drop, or kind of, let's say, good links that people can go and check if they want to get to know more about your drop. And then, of course,
Francisco, I wanted to ask you here something here before just kind of before switching to the to the full screen here. In terms of a quality drop, what makes a drop a quality drop? Like, because I see the structure here. Like, what is the guidance that we're providing here in terms of creating a quality drop? Because this drop is pretty extensive.
Exactly. Well, we want to make sure that the drop, it's of course is self-contained, right? You have all the information that you need there, and then of course it has good documentation. And by good documentation, we mean it has to have clear instruction. What are the prerequisites that you need to be able to run, and how you actually set up those prerequisites. Let's say you need a specific version of Python, then just share with us, right? Just how to install that specific version, right? Then you need to make sure they have a good getting started. So if there's a way to actually get this quickly running, let's say just one command, just have it there documented and have all the different options that you have. And if it's not that okay, then make sure they have the correct steps, right? And for each step, make sure that you have the correct, let's say, images, right? So we're trying to get as much as possible similar to our Jumpstart experience, where we have really, really good documentation with a really good guidance and really good screen captures on how to follow this step by step.
Okay, and they basically, so we provide the schema for our users, and they're going to and fill the content based on that schema, right?
Right, exactly. So as part of, and I'll go over and right now the Jumpstart kind of contribution process. So we have two different ways to contribute. One is you can, and there's probably a lot of users that you love GitHub. You're going to go and just use GitHub, and you're going to create a pull request to the Jumpstart Drops repository. Well, you have to fill in a JSON file, which is a schema, right? We'll just say, hey, we need a title, we need a description, the type of drop, right? And the tags and all that, all the things that I just actually share over here, right? You need to fill that JSON file and create a pull request. And then pull request will go through a review process from the Jumpstart team. We'll make sure that the drop has the correct, as you were saying, documentation, the correct, right? All the different files and all the different kind of properties in that schema were correctly filled. And we're going to, of course, make sure that the drop is actually doing what it should do. So that's one approach, right? And then again, there's a lot of GitHub users out there. There's a lot of people that love, the pull request approach, which is great. You can go always and do that. But if not, we have a really cool feature here, right? Is that they create a drop experience. And this one is kind of mainly focused to, every kind of contributor that has some code out there, and you actually want to upload that code and test the water, see how it works. So you don't even need to use GitHub. You'll do everything directly here inside Jumpstart Drops. So we'll just go and you click create, and you can go and fill all the information that is required as a kind of form, right? And we're going to automate all this, and we're going to create a pull request for you and all that, right? But it's just like, it's really, really simple. So let's say we want to create a drop. Like, let's go back to my AKSE root. So we're going to create a drop that is enable, let's say, Dapper, right? For AKS Edge Essentials, right? So you can see that as I'm filling it's rendering, right? It's a really, really nice kind of touch there. I'm going to say, okay, the author, right? Again, the author is really important for us. So it's just going to be me. And I'm going to say that I want to, like, everyone someone clicks on that, I want them to be redirected to my specific GitHub repository. So next section, right? You can see actually there. Right, and now you're gonna get a card description, right? And as you can see, as we go, right, we can go ahead and fill that this Jumpstart drop. This drop will enable Jumpstart, blah 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 blah, right? And then you go ahead and create a lot of text. And once you finish this, right, and you can always, of course, the second part, which is always thinking of the documentation, then no problem, because we have also the site panel creation. And with this one, we'll go over, what are the different things that you need to fill. Like, let's say, as we were talking about, well, we'll think about an overview, think about a prerequisites, think about how to get started with this drop. Then the development artifacts, right? Like, what are you uploading? Is this a PowerShell script? Okay, what is a PowerShell script doing, right? Are you uploading a Jupyter notebook? Are you uploading 6 PowerShell different scripts? Just make sure you list them and tell me what for each of the scripts is what.
This is super intuitive. I have to say, obviously I've seen the wizard in the past, and we're all kind of having conversations around that. But this is like super intuitive. Like, I'm not sure if I'm familiar with an experience that is, when it comes to code contribution, is such a with such a user friendly mindset.
Exactly.
And the rendering on the fly, that's just cool.
Yeah, it's really simple. And again, like, you can go, if you have any, let's say you have any script there in your local machine, you can just
Yeah.
go ahead and upload it, and you'll get the drop done. I would say in less than 5 minutes. No
Yeah.
need of GitHub, no need of like any commit or anything. You just
Mhm.
go upload it here, fill in the form, done.
So Francisco, this is the wizard experience, and this is currently not available yet in the production website, right? As people can see, we're in the preview website right now.
Correct.
And this is something that is expected to come to the production when?
Next couple of weeks, probably. I would say in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, you heard it here exclusively from Francisco. So the drop experience, or the create experience, is coming. Francisco, one last thing before wrapping up here. How do people find the contribution guidelines?
For sure. So if you actually go right now on the Arc Jumpstart page, you're going to be directed directly when you create a drop here. You're going to go directly when you go to create. You're redirected directly to our Jumpstart Drops contribution guidelines.
Mm.
As we add the new kind of wizard, we're going to have a specific page for that, for the contribution guidelines. We're going to have specific link there. And one more thing, as you go and fill that drop on the wizard, for each of the different steps, you're going to have specific documentation on how to fill that and how to help the user filling that form.
Right. Same spirit as the Jumpstart, with detailed documentations and all those good things. Francisco, thank you so much for walking me through the experience, and for all the hard work for creating drops. This is definitely something that we believe in. This is something that we invested in. And as you can see, like us going live with this last week at Build, with already early adopters and contributions that are coming in, and a lot of interest that this is already starting to come in. Francisco, thank you so much for joining me for this Jumpstart Drops episode. For sure, we're gonna have more content around drops, and obviously around Jumpstart, in this channel. So make sure to like, subscribe, because we're coming up with more. Francisco, again, thank you so much for joining me, and for Jumpstart audience, we're gonna see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.